Friends,
What's up?
how's it going? How's it hanging? To the left or to the right?
A little to the right.
A little to the right.
Yeah. Today, anyway.
Just today.
Yeah.
Real question. Are you a grower or a shower?
What was that?
Probably Mabel.
Probably. She's in there tearing up Jack. I don't know what her deal is. That hedgehog. You come out, sometimes it looks like she had a party overnight. Her little mushroom be upside down. We done fixed it how many times?
I fixed it once.
I ain't fixing it again. She can sleep in the litter box. So angel numbers. My brain just went to mush.
I heard so I was waiting on something to come out.
Nothing. So yeah, this week our topic at hand, I wanted to do angel numbers.
She was like, I had something I really wanted to talk about, and now I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
So we're just going to leave this week blank, and then I'll remember, and then we'll go from there. And then she called me like 2 days later. Oh, it was angel numbers.
2 days? It felt like it was like a week.
No.
Where I was like, what was that?
It was only a day or two later.
Well, at least I remembered. Because it was pissing me off.
I have no beef with this episode. This episode comes beef free.
Good. I'm glad.
It's vegetarian.
Doesn't, well, I mean, it could have turkey. Look at them piggies. Look at your little piggies. Sorry. I'm getting tired, so I'm talking sweet to all the kitties.
Earlier, she was like, I miss Willow.
Yeah, you would have heard that in the last episode. I miss Willow. What do you think she's in there doing?
I'm over here trying to talk about reincarnation and stuff.
Then she showed up right after as I said, I got to stand up. My butt's hurting. Sitting too much. And then she showed up, and then I went in the kitchen. Did you hear me? You sweet little angel.
Yeah, I did.
You sweet
I heard
little
you.
Angel. You're so nice. She didn't bite me
With
or nothing.
Her fish breath.
She do be having stinky breath. I don't know what her deal is. So yeah. So I wanted to talk about angel numbers this week because like I have like a repetitive pattern, which I'll get to further in whatever I'm going over some of the numbers. If I can stay awake. So you wanted me to go first?
Si, senora.
So, angel numbers are part of numerology, and numerology is defined as the branch of knowledge that deals with the occult significance of numbers. The earliest known believers in numerology were the followers of Greek philosopher Pythagoras. Believers of numerology assign mystical properties to numbers. For example, all even numbers were female and all odd numbers were male. The number 4 represented justice, and the number 10 was considered to be the perfect number. And with this perfect number, they believed that there was a 10th planet called Counter-Earth that was always concealed from us by the sun.
Ooh.
Isn't that kind of weird to think about? In modern times, however, the term angel numbers has grown in popularity in spiritual circles and on social media. It is thought that when you see a combination of numbers that catches your eye, you should stop and pay attention. That said, angel numbers are subjective, but the concept implies that when there are repeating numbers or sequences of numbers, that there is a message that we are meant to be receiving. It could be that you notice angel numbers once, or the same number may follow you around for weeks, days, months, years. But no matter where you see it, how often or what number you see, the way you interpret it is what is important. Another practice of numerology that is popular is calculating your life path number, which I think I would like to dedicate like an episode, because you can like put in, I think it's like a longer drawn out thing like birth charts. But if not, we'll give it like an honorable mention at some point. But again, my brain. So with your life path number, it's the theory which in theory gives you more insight about your personality and your life journey. So like my life path number is 2. There are a ton of life path calculators online you can use, but I use the one on numerology.com, and all it asked for was my birthday. So, like I didn't have to put in any other identifying information.
Now I'm curious. Continue.
It is important to know that you don't have to be a psychic medium or any sort of metaphysical practitioner to feel connected to angel numbers. So now I'll get into some of the more common sequences of angel numbers and what they mean. So 111, seeing that sequence of ones.
That's my angel number.
This sequence represents new beginnings and encourages you to step into your self-confidence. This is basically a green light from the universe, so it is best to set your intention, focus on yourself, and welcome these new beginnings into your life. 222, in numerology, the number 2 represents balance, harmony, and alignment. If you see this sequence, it may indicate that you are right where you need to be in life, and you should stop and smell the roses. This would be a good time to check in with yourself and moving with intention, centering your peace and trusting yourself and your relationships. 333, the number 3 represents creativity, and this sequence of numbers may be telling you that you should lean into your self-expression, embrace any collaborative energy coming your way, and to think outside the box. You know that you have a unique set of talents and abilities, so the question is, where can you put these to good use? 444. This is a number sequence that I see a lot. I've been seeing this sequence for about 8 years now, ever since when I first moved into this house. And you may remember, I think I even talked about this on one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah.
So when I was woken up in the middle of the night right after I moved in by a big, and there was like a big ball of white light in my bedroom, and it was 4:44 a.m. And now if I wake up in the middle of the night, it's usually at 4:44 a.m. Like, even if it's just like I had cheese earlier in the day, like if I wake up and I have to go to the bathroom, or if it's just like I roll over or whatever, it's typically at 4:44 in the morning. If I'm curious how much time I've got left at work, I nearly always look at the clock at 4:44. Driving down the highway, I'll see license plates with 444 on them.
See, that's me with ones. I always see 1111, 111.
Yeah. If I'm headed to some sort of new address, sometimes 444. This was what really kind of sparked me wanting to talk about angel numbers, because it is quite insane how often I see and notice this sequence.
You told me what drove you to want to do this is that you were typing something on the computer, and was it Willow got up on the computer, and what she typed in was a bunch of fours?
Yeah, it was 444. And I was like, it's doing too much. So the number 4 deals with stability and inner wisdom, and seeing this number is a message that you really need to trust yourself. It is a sign that what you have been working on is going in the right direction, and you are creating stable foundations for your dreams. The sequence of 444 conveys a very powerful message of love, support, and guidance from your angels, guardians, and that they are by your side. So, 555, as a sequence of 5s in numerology, indicates that a curveball in your life may be coming. If you've been feeling kind of stuck, this could be a sign that you'll be rounding the corner, or that you could be presented with a new opportunity soon. The number 5 is a reminder to embrace change with a positive mindset, and that this change could end up being exactly what you need to achieve your goals. I also have a strong connection with the number 5. It is one of my lucky numbers and has always been a constant in my life ever since growing up and playing Yahtzee. And I've said this before, and like people have just looked at me like, you're insane. Whenever you get Yahtzee, you have to get all of the same number. Mm-hmm. Mine was always 5s. And I even say, I know that sounds stupid, but it really set the tone for the number 5 to be a major number for me. There have been many times where I've been scared out of my mind and the number 5 came up and I just knew that everything would turn out okay. Back when I was in my early, I think I had just turned 20. I got into some trouble and I was sitting in court waiting to be called back to talk to the DA, and they like handed out numbers for like the number you would be called your number would be called, and then you'd go back and and I was handed the number 5 and I was like, oh, everything's going to be fine. And then I never did what I did again, and I've never been in that situation again, and everything turned out fine. It cost me a lot of money, but I think I learned my lesson. So don't do bad things. Stay out of trouble, kids. But yeah, so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, it's going to be fine. It's going to work out, because I was like scared out of my mind that I was going to have to go to jail, and I was going to be in a jail for a year, and it was just awful. But it turned out okay.
You would have come out a hardened criminal.
God, I would have been traumatized probably. So 666, a number that is normally associated with the beast. In numerology, the number 6 indicates emotional support, empathy, and kindness. This sequence of 6s encourages you to connect with your heart and move in alignment with pleasure and contentment. This sequence is assigned to seek comfort, reframe any negative thoughts, and treat yourself with kindness. 777, a sequence of 7s may be an indicator that you need to let go of your fears of the future. This one is all about listening to your instincts, trusting the universe, and maybe even tapping into your own spirituality. In numerology, the number 7 is lucky and could mean that good fortune is headed your way, maybe even monetary fortune. 888, this sequence also represents good fortune or abundance and often means monetary wealth. Reminiscent of the infinity symbol, the number 8 represents the endless flow of life and abundance. When you notice repetitive 8s, it would be a perfect time to practice manifestation. 999, with 9 being the final single digit, this number, either by itself or in sequence, represents ends. This means you may be soon closing a chapter in your life, whether that be a relationship, a job, or any other situation that could be coming to an end. You could even be close to achieving a specific goal you've set. With this, this would be the time to look forward and embrace the endings so that you can jump straight into the fresh starts ahead. And then 10s, in numerology, you can add digits together. So in the case of 10, you could add a 1 and a 0, which equals 1. But 10s are a huge deal in numerology, as this number means mastery and completion. This means that you have hit the nail on the head with where you are, what you're doing, and how you're doing it. The next phase for you is just beyond the horizon. 11, as we all know, 1111 is supposed to be lucky. When you see the clock turn 1111, it is quite common for people to make a wish. These are considered to be master numbers. Seeing an 11 is like seeing a 10 taken up a notch. This is a sign of ascension to new spiritual heights. And then I threw in, just because I just didn't feel like that was enough meat to the. So
you did lie. You did it just because of who it is.
Well, no, because I did this. I just briefly. I say briefly, but anyway. There's a bunch of them, but I mean, it was a natural progression to that. So celebrities with lucky numbers, or who are just interested in numerology in general. So I would just be totally remiss if I didn't mention that Taylor Swift's lucky number is 13. And it all is very bizarre. Because, like, I didn't know all of it, but it's weird. So when she was asked on MTV in 2009 why the number 13 was so significant for her, she said, I was born on the 13th. I turned 13 on Friday the 13th. My first album went gold in 13 weeks. My first #1 song had a 13-second intro. Every time I've won an award, I've been sitting in either the 13th seat, the 13th row, the 13th section, or row M, which is the 13th letter. There is way more synchronicities with her and the number 13, but numerologists really focused on this year's Super Bowl when it came to the number 13. So first, the Super Bowl was the 13th Chiefs game she had been to support Travis Kelce. This was the 58th Super Bowl. 5 + 8 = 13. The game was on February 11th. 2 + 11 = 13. The 49ers were playing against the Chiefs. 4 + 9 = 13. And their quarterback, Brock Purdy, wears number 13. The 49ers were the #1 seed in the National Football Conference heading into the postseason, and the Chiefs were number 3 in the American Football Conference. 1 and 3 is 13. But she isn't the only celebrity to have a lucky number or be obsessed with numerology. So Walt Disney was well known for discussing numerology and spoke of it in the Donald in Math Magic Land film. It's on YouTube and it's about 30 minutes long. If anyone's interested, I've got it in my episode notes or in my sources on the description. But that isn't all the numerology that is part of his legacy. So the character that started it all, Mickey Mouse, is a master teacher number 13. His 13? Ears, 33. It's got 13 on the brain. His ears and the space where his hairline meets his face are 2 3s. I had to look at it for a minute. Like,
hold on. His ears and the space where his hairline meets
his face.
I gotta look at it.
Yeah. So, like, where his hairline is a 3, and then his ears make a 3.
I mean, I don't see it with the ears.
Well,
but I see it with the hairline.
Yeah. So
okay, I see it.
In Anaheim, California, in Disneyland, the theme park, the first theme park, it sits on the 33rd parallel north, and the word Anaheim equals 33 in full reduction gematria, which I don't know quite what that means, but in this full reduction, A = 1, N = 5, A = 1 again, H = 8, E = 5, I = 9, and M = 4, which all adds up to 33. Little cat's hissing again. Disneyland also features the prestigious Club 33, which is a private club that has a wait list that is years long. The whole club is littered with Masonic symbolism. Additionally, the number 13 can be lucky in the Disney parks, and there are numerous 13s all around. The blog post from the Disney Parks website from 2012, 2012. So some of the things that were in it may have changed over the last 12 years in relation to the parks themselves, but I still wanted to keep them in just because I found them interesting. But the grandfather clock in the Haunted Mansion only has one number on its face, a 13. Walt Disney married his wife Lillian on July 13th, 1925. In Magic Kingdom, the Liberty Tree has 13 lanterns hanging from one of its branches. One for each of the original 13 colonies in the U.S. Alice in Wonderland was the 13th full-length animated feature film put out by Disney. At the Hollywood Tower of Terror, which it's not called that anymore, guests plummet 13 stories in a haunted elevator. Brave was the 13th Disney Pixar full-length animated film. The numeric street address for Disneyland Resort, 1313. And the 1939 animated cartoon Donald's Lucky Day, it is set on Friday the 13th. Donald is a bicycle messenger who has a lot of bad luck thanks to a broken mirror, a black cat, and the number 13 when he tries to deliver a package to 1313 13th Street. The cartoon was released on January 13th, which was a Friday the 13th. Another celebrity obsessed with a number is Beyonce. She says that the number 4 has been like an invisible hand guiding her through life. Both she and Jay-Z were born on the 4th, her in September and him in December. Their eldest daughter's name is Ivy, after the Roman numeral for the number 4, which is honestly, I thought was a little bit clever.
Yeah, that's clever.
Both her and her husband have the Roman numeral 4 tattooed on their ring finger as an alternative to rings. She explained a little bit about the significance of the number 4 in her live at the Roseland Elements of 4 show, saying with a giggle, on April 4th, 2008, 8 divided by 2 is 4, he put a ring on it. But the number 4 isn't just all about her relationship. When Destiny's Child released its first album in 1998, there were 4 members of the group. Beyonce's mother, Miss Tina, was also born on the 4th but in January of 1954. Beyonce titled her 4th studio album 4. It was also her 4th number 1 album. There was a Tiffany & Company campaign that featured Beyonce wearing the Tiffany yellow diamond ring, making her only the 4th woman in history to do so after Audrey Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor, and Lady Gaga. Even her husband has admitted that the number 4 has been important in his life. Jay-Z's 13th studio album was titled 444, and he said in a 2017 interview, 444 is a song I wrote, and it's the crux of the album, just right in the middle of the album. And I woke up literally at 4:44 in the morning, 4:44 a.m. to write this song. So it became the title of the album and everything. It's the title track because it's such a powerful song, and I just believe one of the best songs I've ever written. I did not listen to the song, by the way. Usually I do, but I didn't. So on June 13th, 1 + 3 = 4, the couple's twins were born. And looking into numerology and people who have certain numbers that seem to follow them through life can honestly make you a little bit crazy, because there's just absolutely no possible way that it's all just a coincidence. Right? Like, there's no way.
I mean, numbers do definitely have like a relevancy, I think. Like I said, I see 1111, 111, like ones play a big role.
Yeah.
I just did my number or whatever, and I was a 6, and it nailed it. TJ's a 1, nailed it. But like my favorite number growing up was the number 3. Like I was number 3 in softball every year until I got into like school sports where you don't get to pick your own number.
Yeah.
But that was mainly because my dad was like a big Dale Earnhardt fan, and I thought that was cool. But anyway.
Raise hell, praise Dale.
Right. Okay, so you talked about numerology and how that can be the universe's way of trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about 13 other signs that could be the universe trying to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one might be spirit animals. From redbirds to deer, different animals can mean different things spiritually. When you need to hear that particular message, they will make their presence known either in a dream or real life. So, for example, where I live, we are in the middle of 2 pretty busy roads, but I'm kind of like back off in the woods, so it's not uncommon to see like wildlife and lots of birds.
Yeah.
But there have been times where it's just like out of nowhere, I'll see a deer just randomly walk out of the woods in the middle of the day and just kind of hang out.
Even for right there is kind of weird.
Yeah. Like I'm used to seeing them like back behind the house, but like a lot of times I'll see them like in the driveway.
Yeah.
And so this could mean many different things in many different cultures. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I just kicked you. I'm sorry.
Mara.
I'm sorry.
You may call the ASPCA.
I'm sorry.
She kicked you.
I didn't really kick her. I just kind of bumped her. But anyway.
She kicked you across the room. I saw it.
In Buddhism, deer are depicted attending to Buddha. So they symbolize the path of enlightenment and teachings of reincarnation and karma. In like Native American Cherokee, specifically the white-tailed deer, which is what we have around here, represents good luck and are considered other than human persons. Generally, deer symbolize intuition, gentleness, renewal, divine wisdom, grace, agility, and devotion. So what I take away from it when I start seeing them a lot is that I need to show myself a little bit more compassion and love myself more. I may need some emotional healing, and it's time for me to take care of me for a minute. Yeah. The next one could be like the next sign from the universe, intuition. Intuition is basically our direct connection to the universe. There are 4 primary ways for this to come to us. That could be clairaudience, which is your intuition comes to you as words or voice. Clairvoyance, your intuition comes to you as seeing images. Clairsentience, your intuition comes to you as physical feelings or sensations. And claircognizance, which is your intuition comes to you as knowing through instantaneous downloads or insights. For me, it's generally clairsentience. I get a gut feeling about people or situations before I have any way of actually knowing or having knowledge of what's going on. The next one is snippets of conversations. This one's a little bit of a reach for me. And like I mentioned in the reincarnation episode, once you have something on your mind, you're going to start noticing it more often in your life. But according to my source, this is another way that the universe is trying to get your attention. Like if you're trying to find a good gym to join, and then you overhear, because, you nosy bastards, someone talking about how much they love their new gym, and like you're walking past them in Walmart, and they're talking about how much they love their new gym. The universe is telling you to get your fat ass up and get to work. So then...
I'd be offended. Tell me what to do.
The next one is song lyrics. As I'm sure you've all gathered by now, Brittany and I are pretty big music snobs. I like to associate songs with things in my life that hold meaning. By this, I mean I will have a certain song that reminds me of someone or something that means a great deal to me and makes me happy. Then, if I'm going through it and having a rough time, and that song comes on, I feel like the universe is doing its job at letting me know that the hard times are temporary and I will be back on the happy train pretty soon. I'm the world's worst about trying to make a decision and being like, okay, if I'm meant to do option A, then as I'm sitting here working and I'm listening to music, a certain song is going to come on in the next 3 songs. And then, the universe will have a sense of humor, though, and it'll answer me. But if the answer is no, and the song didn't come on, then it's going to play on the 4th or 5th song just for shits and giggles.
Right.
Universe could reach out to you in dreams. They're also very common things to hit you up in. There are certain themes or symbols that will appear to make you think, A couple common symbols that my source uses are snakes that signal transformation and spiders, which are trying to warn you about lies and criticism. The next one is new opportunities. Have you ever noticed that jobs open up when you're really thinking about finding a new one, or you're contemplating getting a new pet and then one kind of falls in your lap and needs a loving home? Say thank you to the universe because it's saying, hey, bitch, pay attention. You need this. Don't miss out.
Like how what I got Willow. He said, this cat's ugly. Take her. I'll give you $20. Well,
how we wound up with Ellie. It was literally, we don't need another dog. Okay, we're going to get this dog.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't,
I know.
Yeah.
She literally fell in your lap.
Yeah. She was literally at some man's house.
Right.
And we were just taking a Tupperware bowl back. I came home with that critter.
Right.
That's the definition of a critter. It's Willow.
She's
a critter.
She's a hardened criminal.
She's a strange critter, bro.
So I know that we already talked about...
She is a hardened criminal.
I know that we already talked about angel numbers, and those can be repeating numbers. However, numbers are not the only thing that the universe will throw at you that can repeat, and when it's trying to get your attention. An example of this would be you hear an ad on Spotify, or because if you're cheap like me and you don't pay for premium, you get ads.
They still have ads on podcasts.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you hear an ad on Spotify for a podcast that piques your interest. Later on, you see a post on Facebook about it. And then you hear a friend talk about it. The universe is saying, hey, give this one a listen. Hopefully that will be the story for us, for someone someday for us.
Yeah.
And we're getting bigger. But anyway, the next one is the weather. Have you ever been having just a difficult day or a difficult time making a decision about going somewhere that you don't necessarily want to go to or don't have a good feeling about it, and then all of a sudden the heavens open up and a torrential downpour comes out of nowhere? There's your sign from the universe that you shouldn't go. Or, in my case, you have a kid at home with allergies from Satan himself. You know they shouldn't be outside playing, but they have a soccer game today, and you have to honor that commitment. Then all of a sudden, a goalie washer comes about, and they cancel games. The universe said, nope, stay home and let that allergy flare-up clear up. Take care of that baby. That happens. It's happened a couple times. The 10th one, inexplicable phenomena. These are things that just have no logical explanation at all that occur. My source gave the best example that I could think of. You might be grieving the loss of a family member, only to find one of their favorite keepsakes in your mailbox with no explanation. In this case, this is a sign from the universe that your loved ones are still energetically with you and watching over you. I feel like you've had something like that happen.
I mean, not like finding, like, I mean, it's usually like, I don't know, my brain is just zapped, but I've not like had like where I've mysteriously found an item that belonged to somebody, but like
you'll find something that like is relevant.
Yeah, or what really freaks me out is when I get mail with my pawpaw's name on it. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens. Because, like, I checked the mail, it was a few weeks ago, and, or maybe it was over a month ago, and Danny, he goes, because he got in my car the next day, and he goes, what's this? I said, oh, it's a John Deere catalog. He said, why are you getting a John Deere catalog? I said, oh, I'm not, but I got to take it to my papa up there at the cemetery. Because he got it. I didn't.
Well, okay.
He's like, why is he getting it? I said, I have no idea.
This is not relevant to like a person. No, not really. But like, I have been kind of looking into like the GPS collars for the dogs. Yeah. But not like the ones that just track them, but like ones that'll like vibrate or something if they get outside of not like a invisible fence where you have to bury it, but it's like you set a boundary on a phone app.
Yeah.
And once the dog reaches that area,
it'll
vibrate or whatever and make them come back into that area. I've been kind of looking at them. They are stupid expensive. Like I'm talking $1,000. Yeah. So I had been kind of looking at them. At no point have I entered any of my information. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I have ordered dog related to be sent to the house is I ordered flea and tick collars for them that were like a natural approach to them, non-chemical. But I ordered it under my current name.
Yeah.
In the mail last week, I think, I got a postcard about a GPS tracking dog collar addressed to my previous married name.
Weird.
First of all, that name should not be associated with my address.
No.
I mean, it could be because I did live there under that name for a little bit. But why did I get that?
I know, that's weird.
Anyway, so another sign that the universe is trying to grab you is people. This one's pretty easy to notice. My favorite thing in the world is that when I'm feeling like I'm drowning and that the sun is so far away, and then I'll be scrolling through TikTok and I see a TikTok of a person who has every reason to be sad and mean and hateful, and they're just not. They're just so nice, and their happiness is infectious.
Like Mama Tot.
Well, prime example of this would be people with Down syndrome. They're never actually down. It never fails that when I'm having a depresso day, my FYP will be all of the extra crummy homies, and they always make me smile. And I just wanted a special shout out to Nate the Great and the Brother Boys.
Yeah.
Another way is colors. I'm for these next two these next two things that the universe can utilize, I'm going to quote straight from my source. Colors are another way that the universe sends us signs, especially when we ask for signs in the form of certain colors. You might set the intention that you'd like to receive signs with the color indigo for ways to improve your mental health. For example, and then you get handed an indigo colored flyer about a new yoga studio near you opening up.
Yeah.
And then the next way that the universe could be reaching out is sounds. It's one thing when see this could be relevant for you right here. It's one thing when a car alarm goes off when you're just minding your own business, not thinking about anything in particular. But when a car alarm starts going off as you're realizing your latest love interest has some major red flags, it's like the universe is saying, here, we set off alarm bells for you. And sounds don't always have to be bad either. Perhaps you hear a bell chime when you have a great idea, or someone's phone ring outside when you're thinking about calling an old friend. Again, it all depends on the context of the moment and when the sign appears. So when you're getting these signs, how can you go about understanding them? So we discussed how the messages come to you. Now it's your job to decipher what the message is. Each and every message you get is entirely specific to what is going on in that exact second you receive the sign. When you think that what you are experiencing is a sign, think about how it's resonating with you. Do you feel a change in the environment around you? Does time seem to slow down or stop altogether? Did you get full body chills? This weird thing happened when you thought about this and you can't get it out of your head days or weeks or months later. Pay attention to that. A lot of times these messages are pretty obvious, but after a while, if you stay pretty consistent to paying attention to your surroundings, this will become even easier to notice them when they do appear. Once you start noticing them, the universe will take note and it'll keep them coming. You just have to be open to it.
Wow.
Tell me that you're getting tired without telling me that you're getting tired. You zoned out.
Yeah, I'm trying real hard not to think about the fact that I'm so tired I could vomit. And I'm trying to not think about vomiting.
Well, yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got the nonprofit for this week.
Yes.
This one is, I picked this one. And I think I briefly mentioned that I have a family history in the last episode. I picked the Alzheimer's Association. Also, could be the fact that I've been watching Grey's Anatomy, and Alzheimer's plays a role in that as well. Probably. But anyway, the Alzheimer's Association leads the way to end Alzheimer's and all other dementia by accelerating global research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maximizing quality care and support. So basically, they're trying to find a cure and find better ways of treatment and care for those that do suffer. And if you or someone you love has ever gone through it, well, I mean, I guess you could be going through it if you're listening to this. But if you've ever been exposed to that, you know just how awful it really is. Yeah. My grandfather had Alzheimer's and dementia. It could be scary at times.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, my dad's dad, he had dementia. And, like, because growing up,
Did he get combative?
he did.
Okay. That's
So, like, growing up, he and I didn't really have, we didn't have, like, this huge bond. Him and my sister did, but, like, we didn't. Now that I'm older, because, like, whenever I would spend the night, he would, like, get upset and, like, yell at me because I'm being a kid.
Right.
And now that I'm older, I'm like, that man was probably just autistic and he was overstimulated by me. And so now I'm just like, because he was a trained guy. And it was like, it was just it was over the top with it. But yeah, I was probably just overstimulating to him. So like, I didn't have as much of a connection to him. So like when my granny, after he had like a violent moment with it, she was like, I can't, for my own safety, like he needs to go somewhere else. So like I went with her to take him to the Parthenon Pavilion, and then like
first of all, let's just talk about how scary that place is.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Like when you see movies about insane asylums, this is,
and like what the craziest
like everything, like Girl Interrupted. This is that.
Yeah. But like the craziest part is like when you're just walking around, you don't see any patients. You have to be like let into one of the wards. And like, so we were let into the dementia ward.
Been there.
But you can hear the patients. And that's what's scary is like, but so on the dementia ward, like the day that we took him and, got him admitted and got him in there, I like made the mistake of turning around just to check and make sure, he was good. And he had no idea where he was.
Oh, no.
No, not a clue. He could have been at home for all,
Well, like, my grandfather had...
But just to say, that broke my heart.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather had Alzheimer's, dementia. He had a host of things going on. And my grandmother had passed away when I was like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5. And so he was kind of living on his own for a while. And then he got to a point to where he couldn't take care of himself. And so we started hiring people to come and stay with him.
Mm-hmm. That gets expensive.
Yeah. And like we went through a couple different ladies. And then the last one that I think that he had was like an older lady that came and lived with him. And, the state had bought his house that he had lived in, like my mom's whole life. And, he moved here closer to us and, in what is now my sister's house. And, the lady moved here with him. And I'm telling you, like she had him convinced that they were going to get married, that he was in love with her. I think she thought he had money. I don't know. Anyway, that's besides the point. So it got to the point where he was like just crazy. And so we had to put him in. We did put him in the Parthenon Pavilion for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that was terrifying. I feared for his safety. I think I only went like once, maybe twice, because it was just terrifying. And then we ended up putting him in a nursing home here. Mm-hmm. And it was like when you've got Alzheimer's, you have no idea where you are.
Right.
And like, you think that you're somewhere else or in a different time even. Mm-hmm. I don't even know that my grandfather was ever like military. I don't think that he was. But like, he would, we got there one day and he was sitting in the common area with like on the couch, just hanging out with a towel wrapped around his neck. And my mom's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he was like, I had to put a white flag around my neck so that they know I'm neutral. There's like a war going on out here.
Yeah.
And we're like, what are you talking about? And he would like tell us about crazy, like he thought that he was back in the day, and he would tell us these crazy things that were going on outside the window. And like, there was one day, and this was the funniest thing. It wasn't long after we put him in there. He had a roommate. And I guess sometimes their brain cells with other people suffering the same thing will link up so they see the same thing.
Yeah.
So, like, he's laying in his bed on one side of the room, and this guy, the other guy, was laying in his bed on the other side of the room. And my granddad points up at the ceiling, and he goes, how big, what do you think, what size is that door up there? And the guy on the other side of the room answered him with dimensions.
Yeah.
And we were like, what is going on? There was no door on the ceiling, first of all. I was like, what is going on? But then, like, every once in a while, it was like, he was him.
Yeah.
Like, where he was. And it was crazy. Like, there was a lot of times that he didn't know who any of us were. But then some days we'd go and visit him, and he'd know. And he, you know, it was just granddaddy again.
Yeah.
But it was...
I think those are the days that make it the hardest.
It's good and it's refreshing to have those moments. But then when you see them slowly coming out of it and regressing, you're like, dang.
And the ones who like sundown, oh,
what was
awful.
The worst was that right there toward the end, he had to be admitted into the hospital. And my mom had gone up to visit. And I think like there were other people there. And like when she got to the room, the nurse was there. And he knew who Mom was. Like even called her by her little nickname. And kept telling the nurse that my mom was the troublemaker.
Yeah.
She was the baby of the family, the baby of 6.
Yeah.
And she's the troublemaker. And he kept joking with her and stuff. And it was just like everything was normal. He was fine. He knew who everybody was. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
And then the turd, Mom, he had slipped off into like, I guess, a coma. And Mom made me come in and tell him, like, everybody was like, it's okay to go, you know, telling him that they're going to be fine or whatever. Everybody had done it but me.
Yeah.
Mom made me come in and tell him. And I'm like, I was like 13.
Right.
Okay. It was like 8th grade.
Yeah.
I'm like 13 and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But I did. I was like, he should know, you know, if I don't want him to hurt anymore, blah, blah. I don't think I spoke directly to him. I was just talking to Mom.
Yeah.
And then, like, the next day, this was before cell phones were, like, a big thing. Like, everybody had one, even kids.
Right.
The next day, our friend with the 3-legged animals had a birthday party at Centennial Sportsplex.
Yeah.
Ice skating. And so I had gone, but Mom sent me with her cell phone.
And I think you told me this story.
Yeah. And so I'm at this party. It was her 13th. I'm at this party and I was ice skating. I go back and I have a missed call from one of my cousins. And so I called her back and she was like, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of your mom. And I was like, oh, I'm not with her. And she's like, oh, you're not with her? And I'm like, no, I'm at a birthday party. I've just got her phone so that, you know, if they need to call me, they can. And she's like, oh, you don't know yet?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, well, I'm not going to tell you. And then was like, I'm going to let you go. I need to get a hold of your mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was done. I was like, I got to go.
It sucks.
But yeah, Alzheimer's sucks.
Yeah.
It terrifies me to think that I'm going to have to go through everything that my mom went through with her.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you won't.
Lady do be forgetting.
Well, I think that's
she crazy.
Normal, but
I forget stuff all the time. I am the most forgetful person, and I'm like, I can't remember anything. But my mom is just crazy anyway. I love you, Mom. I tell her that all the time. She tells me, she'll say something, and I'm like, we've already discussed this. I don't have Alzheimer's yet. All the time. I don't have Alzheimer's. I'm not that old yet. She crazy. But, so yeah, this is a really good foundation, Alzheimer's Association. Yeah. If you haven't donated to anything, if you've never even thought about it, give this one a thought, because this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal. Not to bring down the mood, but let's lighten it a little bit and light those candles, turn up those lights, have a party, and while you're partying, go follow us on the socials. Cast your social media circle, and follow us on Facebook,
Instagram,
TikTok,
Twitter.
Email us at wanderersofweird@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Okay, bye.